Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the Hello Kitty murder part 4. Today we're talking about the tragic life of Fan Man Yi. Now if you've been following the story, you may be thinking that this is getting completely out of hand. And you would be completely right. It has been getting completely out of hand. And unfortunately for Fan, it was just going to get much, much worse. When the group was not regularly trying to pimp her out to collect an impossible debt that she would never be able to pay, they were regularly beating her on a daily basis. And some of these beatings had gotten so bad that she would be completely covered in bruises, to which clients began turning her away because they were just disgusted by her appearance from being so badly bruised. And a lot of these times when she was turning customers away and wasn't able to service the clientele they were bringing in, they would just beat her worse. And when they weren't using her as a beating object, they would be sitting around the apartment playing video games and doing drugs. And it would not only be the 3 men that would regularly beat Fan Man Yi. If you remember me talking about a 4th accomplice, 13-year-old Ah Fong, not only would she join in with the beatings, but she would also come up with more sinister, dark ideas to torture Fan Man Yi. And not only would she join into the brutal beatings of Fan Man Yi, it has also been noted, not only by the other men's account, but her account alone, that she would way too many times be laughing and giggling while brutalizing Fan Man Yi. And as I previously said, the beatings had left her so beaten that she started turning away clients because she was in such a rough shape. And because this would happen, her beatings would just increase more on a daily basis. And by this time, they were becoming more creative with their beatings, that this time alone, their fists just would not do. So they would start tying her up with ropes and beating her over with metal rods. They would even take kitchen utensils and try to stab and poke her with just anything they could do to cause her pain. And it's also around this time that they began forcing Fan Man Yi to not only drink urine, but to eat excrements as a way of nourishment. They would then take her and tie her up with electrical cord and hang her in a standing up position, and would then take turns using her as their own personal punching bag. It is said around one of these times that Fan was actually kicked in the head about 50 different times. And if the forcing to eat excrements and the beatings weren't bad enough, the group would then force themselves on Fan Man Yi whenever they wanted. It's also been said that during this time, Fan Man Yi would actually get pregnant by the amount of time she was raped by the men on a daily basis. But even though she would get pregnant from the raping, this would not stop the men from beating her on a regular basis. So it's suffice to say that through the beating, she would actually miscarry this child. One of the ways that they would keep Fan Man Yi from trying to escape the apartment is after they were done beating her, they would then take spices and rub them all over her open wounds, or just anywhere where it would just not alleviate any pain whatsoever. They were not stopped or satisfied unless she was in constant pain 24/7. And it's also said after they would rub spices over her open wounds, they would begin burning hot oils on her legs and feet, so they would create blisters too sore for her to walk. And what's even more vile and disgusting, even through the raping, even through the beatings, and through the constant degrading of Fan Man Yi, the group would make Fan Man Yi smile and laugh throughout everything, and would make them tell them that she enjoyed it and she enjoyed being punished. And if she wasn't smiling or laughing, they would just give her harsher punishments. Meanwhile, while all this was going on, Fan Man Yi's ex-husband was actually beginning to get worried because he had not seen his ex-wife in a while to visit their son and had not even called, which was very unlike her. And it's suffice to say that he began looking for her because he was just becoming growingly worried. And while this was going on, the group was becoming more creative with their punishments. And around this time, they started taking plastic straws and melting them on the bottom of her feet, or just melting anything on the bottom of her feet to create blisters and sores to where it was even too painful to walk on. While they would do this, they would also beat her legs with sticks and throw her forcibly down on the bathroom floor, locking her there, forcing her to just drift in and out of consciousness. And before those wounds would even begin to start healing, they would start rubbing them with hot chili powder all over them. Ah Fong would actually make this statement when it came to the beatings. It was a fun game they played. They would make her smile as they beat and burnt her. And if she didn't, they would only beat and burn her worse. It was a fun atmosphere. End quote. The group would then up the degrading factor on Fan and this time start using her as their own personal toilet, where they would take Fan, tie her up, and place her in a bathtub, where every one of them would take turns defecating and urinating on her face. And if she ever spat any of it up, they would only beat and punish her more harsher. It's reported that Ah Fong on one occasion would defecate into a shoebox and then make Fan Man Yi eat it. And by reports, as she was telling the story, she thought it was hilarious. The group would then begin tying Fan Man Yi up in electrical cords and hanging her on a hook, basically making her hang dangling above the floor, where they would take turns not only using her as a punching bag, but also beat her with 2x4s, metal rods, and also smash the furniture around the apartment over her body and face. On one occasion, they would just beat her to unconsciousness until they were just completely done having their quote-unquote fun, where they would all go to bed, leaving Fan Man Yi hanging in the air. It's also at this time that they quit feeding Fan Man Yi altogether and was only feeding her body fluids as a way of sustenance. And after they were done, when they weren't beating her, they were packing her wounds with herbs, spices, and salt, or anything else they could find that would not relieve any of her pain. It is around this time, by the shape that Fan was in, she was not pulling in any customers whatsoever. And a lot of times she would just be either hanging in the ceiling or laying in the bathroom floor, drifting in and out of consciousness. Meanwhile, the group would completely ignore her health and just be in the other room playing video games or doing drugs. And Ah Fong would make this statement. She was broken, and it wasn't much fun playing with her anymore. And after that, there wasn't much to do after that. End quote. It's said that Ah Fong took a lot of enjoyment in punishing Fan Man Yi. It is also said that a lot of times when she was forcing her to eat defecation or beating her with rods, that she would often be seen giggling and just laughing as if it was some fun game. It's not real sure the amount of atrocities that she committed against Fan Man Yi, but it should be noted that it should be considerably long even after her confession. And even after her confession, the police would ask Ah Fong, why would you do such a thing? To where Ah Fong would just look at the police and go, I suppose you could say it was for fun. On April 15th, 1999, the four would handcuff Fan Man Yi to the bathroom, leave her to her injuries as they would go downstairs to play some video games. And while they were playing her video games, Fan Man Yi would succumb to her injuries and pass away. She endured this treatment for a full month, and the group would not return until a few days later.